Hello, this is Cam, and I think I told the class that I was going on a little field trip today. This is in a place called Hungry Hollow, which is close to Arkona, which is only about a 40-minute drive from London. And this is actually a quarry that was once used for quarrying shale in the form of clay. And this is actually one of the best places to collect Middle Devonian fossils around in Ontario. It doesn't look like much, but probably one of my favorite places in the world. So over here we can actually see some shale. So you can see that it weathers pretty much almost like a toothpaste. And over this way we can see there's a ledge of limestone up here that's overlying the shale. And way over here we can actually see this a little bit better, and again we can see what is called the Arkona shale at the bottom and the Hungry Hollow limestone above that. And maybe I will pop in every once in a while and show you some of the fossils that occur here. Okay, so we're at the bottom of the quarry here, and this is in the Arkona shale. You can see that it's weathered to basically almost nothing. And one nice thing about places like this where the mud just sort of washes away, it sort of uncovers a lot of fossils, and they're nice and clean. And if we look really closely here, we can find a brachiopod that looks very similar to the ones that you're going to see or that you have seen in your tutorial. So there's one there. There's all sorts of bits and pieces of them. They're probably concentrated here when it was originally deposited in this warm tropical sea, and hurricanes coming around and basically sweeping the mud away and leaving behind the shells of anything that was living there. So in this little spot here we can see again lots and lots of brachiopods. These little conical things are called tentaculites. See what else we can see. This one, there's more tentaculites. And there are a few things like this right here is a little button coral called microcyclus, cute little guys. And in some places as well we can see I'm looking for a specific thing here. Oh, here's another brachiopod. So you can see that I dug out a piece of limestone here. It's sort of a lens of limestone in the shale, and if you look really closely, you can see that this block is absolutely packed with brachiopods, and they actually still have their valves together. And this was probably a pavement, almost like a pavement of brachiopods living all in sort of in one place. And there was a storm and covered this whole community in mud, and they were probably buried alive. But yeah, you can see how densely packed these things are. They're essentially buried alive. So I've dug into this piece a little bit more, and kind of an interesting thing is here. And this here, which has sort of it's brown with a little bit of a bluish tinge to it. This is actually a piece of a plate armor from an ancient fish. So that's kind of interesting. Whenever these remains weather, and they're made out of hydroxyapatite, they turn sort of a brownish color, and then when they weathered, they tend to get a whitish to bluish color. So that's how you can tell right away that that's a piece of bone from a fish. So I'm now along the banks of the Osable River, a little further away from where we were in the quarry, and this exposure goes up fairly high. Okay, and there are a lot of fossils that have washed down from that sort of that hard layer in around here. So they've come down and they've weathered and eroded and they've tumbled down to here. So I thought I would show you a few examples of what we're seeing in here. Here is another quarry. It's across the river, and this is the north pit of the HungryHollow quarry. And you can see here that it's long been filled in with water. They used to pump it out so that they can get to the clay, but it's been in disuse for several years. And you can see the same sorts of rocks, but over here it looks rather precarious, with Dina here sitting on the top of this ledge. And all of this is shale, and we have some limestone here, and she's sitting on this top of this limestone ledge. And right where she's sitting are a huge number of corals. So she's actually collecting a bunch of these rugose horn corals. So looking at from the other side of the quarry, and we are on that ledge that Dina, my assistant, was at. And if we look at this, this is absolutely chock full of corals. So here's one here, and there is another one here, really big one here, and a big one here. So you imagine this as at one time being the bottom of a tropical sea. You see all these lines, and all these lines sort of record growth. So you can imagine then this sort of almost like a reef-like setting. And this is again when Ontario was south of the equator, about 30 degrees south of the equator, around where Brazil is today. So I just thought you might be interested in seeing some of the fossils that we've been finding here. So here's one of those corals that I was talking about that has that sort of knee bend in it, right here. And we can see here this part over here and then this part over here. So it was started to grow upwards like this. It was toppled over, and then it started growing up this way. And that was irresponsible, being toppled over by a storm and then growing upwards towards the light. So it's kind of interesting that you can actually see evidence of hurricanes back in the Middle Devonian period.